Congressman Eric Sorenson calls for stronger action to combat the widespread issue of robocalls, which hit Illinois residents with 1.6 billion calls last year. Sorenson is pushing for the reintroduction of the Quiet Act, which would increase penalties for scammers using AI to impersonate human voices. Sorenson also emphasized the need to work with the Federal Communications Commission to implement systems and protocols that protect consumers, especially in rural areas. He's urging an investigation into the perpetrators behind these robocalls with the goal of holding them accountable and imposing higher penalties.
This piece of legislation would crack down on it. It increases the penalties for those who want to do this harm. But then also I want to see a way that when you get a phone call and it's not a real voice, that it will say artificial intelligence call before you pick it up.